I want you to come out of your shell a little bit and tell me how your team culture has affected Midlothian youth football culture as a whole.
Mm.
You may not be aware of it, but it's it's starting to creep into other coaches, and they're starting to copy a lot of what you do and how you do things. And the success stories are phenomenal, right? That there's always three or four teams in Midlothian that are in the mix now when it comes to the playoffs, and I think you're a big part of that. So,
Oh, man. That's big, man. I appreciate it, Mike. Yeah. Like recap from last night, man. The culture that we try to breed and push forth here in Midlothian is just that simply dedication, focus, hustle, work harder than the next guy, right? Not only that, but creating a system, creating a process. Um, again, we mentioned yesterday about how we were talking about some of the other coaches around that I've picked up, and never too good or too proud of a man to say that I've learned from another man, right? And watching coaching after doing this for so long, I'll throw those names back out there: your Troy Waxlers, your Chris Wrights, your Chad Martins, your Brad Kemps. These guys around me that were there doing it before me when I got here and gave me the opportunity. I kind of watched and picked up off of. I think I brought a little bit to the table, not only watching Bobby Martin, Whitehead, all these guys out of Burleson, watching how they do this at a young, starting early in the process. And then I just took it, made it mine, and then what I recognized was, again, with you and the way that Burleson and some of these other coaches, Kleber and some of these other people I was watching at an early age uh, uh, was a system. Everybody had a system, their process. You guys wasn't just one team did one thing. You guys try to create something that was what represented your league, right? And I've worked my butt off to try to do just that: is create a foundation and a process and a system. And you're right, man. I will tell you, man. I've got about 4 or 5 coaches right behind me. Chris Lampkins has been with us for a long time. I think he's like me, and you've been doing this for a long time, and he's even embraced the culture, the process, right? Your Garricks, Trey Garricks, yourself. I think that you've embodied some of what Midlothian is and brought, what you brought from Waxahachie over, but you've embraced what it is here. But it's just that is raising a family, building a culture of leaning on each other and creating good young men, and not just focus on football itself. Challenge them to give as much as you can. Uh, uh, and when you fall, like you were saying, when you fall, get up. If you get hit, get back up, right? These are the areas that we really try to focus on, and learning to relate to these kids, not just through football but through life, right? Challenge them to be great at home, challenging them to be great at school, and holding them to that, going to the schools. Thank God I've been here between Waxahachie and Midlothian all my life, so I know a lot of people. That's a double-edged sword. I
of
know a lot
course,
of people, and I've had a lot of great feedback through the process of these years of doing this, man. And you hear people lie a lot and say I'm a great coach and that I do it the right way and all these things, man. And I pay them at the end of the day to say that stuff. But man, I try to stay consistent. There's a lot of people behind me that say, man, he says the same thing every year. Where it's again, it's the culture, it's the process, and I've had a lot of coaches behind me. Of course, they come and take some of the stuff that I bring to the table and make it theirs, which is great. But I think the culture of raising, just focusing on raising young men, right, and young women. Again, there's some of those out there that are playing football too, but challenge them to be great outside of football, where we run into the small victories every day: waking up, doing your bed, brushing your teeth, doing the dishes for mom, taking the trash out without mom asking. These little things are small victories, which lead up to the big victories, which is through school, through our grades, and then you win on Saturdays, and that's the truth. You win at practice, right? And that tends to bleed over on those. So when you're saying, well, Chris, I've been doing this for a long time, I have, and I've had a lot of support behind me. I've got a great league right now with Kerry Wright and Brandy Vest, leading the helm, created this new league we're in, which is a great league. They got a lot of competition in this now, and the way that they're doing it, and the foundation is solid, man. I think that they're only going to bring in a lot more towns to join. But I think, again, they've built this off the foundation was laid first here in Midlothian, way before themselves. Carrie and Brandy are the president, vice president here, but before them, your Chad Martins, these guys, your Tim. Roberts. I could go on and on. There's a bunch of guys that have been here way before us. Your Chris Soto's. These guys have been in there kind of laying this out early, and all I've done is taken his run with it and tweaked it my way. But yeah, man, I think all around it's just the process and understanding the system that we have put in place, and a lot of these coaches have taken on that, right? Even the way system of football that we run, the process of learning a offensive scheme, defensive scheme, the way we attack it. A lot of these coaches have I've been blessed and felt honored that they would even ask for my opinion and help in those areas. So I think
Mhm.
it has dwindled down a little bit.